tidied up investigations involving rapes, only for the victim's family to turn around, reconcile and strike a deal with the suspects, and then they come back to the police to say they are no longer interested in the prosecution.
This message is from
King 103.9 FM, the leading voice of the people. King 103.9 FM, the leading voice of the people.
Preview. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board Flight King FM 103.9 with services from Premier Hotel Ibadan. We are expected to be in here in approximately 2 minutes time. We ask that you please fasten your seat belts at this time, and please turn off all electronic devices such as laptops and cell phones to ensure maximum concentration. Smoking is hereby prohibited for the duration of the flight. Thanks for choosing King FM. Enjoy your flights. World Review begins now. Yeah, and of course a very wonderful afternoon to you out there once again under the sound of our voice. This is King 103.9 FM, and of course it's 2:17 p.m. Nigerian time in the studios of King FM 103.9. Yeah, once again it's time to bring you that exciting show on radio, World in Review. Yeah, once again a very wonderful afternoon to you out there under the sound of my voice. To all Muslim brothers and sisters, we say Jumat Mubarak, and like Yorubas we always say Ekujimo Olonyoni. Yeah, once again this is World in Review on this dial, King 103.9 FM, where we bring you all the news that made the headlines, occuped the headlines and trended in the newspapers throughout the course of the week. In the international political scene, though, in the foreign scene, we don't talk the news about Nigerians because it's one of the things we've been talking about on radio throughout the course of the week. So on the show, we talk about all those headlines, all those news that made the rounds in the foreign scene throughout the course of the week. Like I used to say, we break it down for you, we give you in-depth analysis, so as to have a perfect understanding of what's going on around the world. My name is Ajibola Samuel, your regular host on the show, and of course, it's a pleasure being able to bring you to this edition of the show. I'm not alone on the show today. I've got this wonderful colleague of mine. We're running it together.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Awe. I welcome you to the...
Yeah, once again, welcome to another exciting edition of the show. Without further ado, let's delve straight into the various news that we've got for you today. And just like we do every Fridays on the show, we start from the African continent before we go to other parts of the world to bring you the news that made the rounds over there. Okay, starting from the African continent, let's start from the eastern part of Africa. And of course, you are still getting news and various developments from the fallout of the election that actually happened in Uganda. Of course, if you haven't forgotten, an election was held some couple of days ago. That was January the 14th day in the month of January 2021. And we've been getting quite a whole lot of developments from that election, even though the results have been announced, and of course the president is about to be sworn in for the 6th term. Okay, moving forward quickly, we did tell you last week on the show, of course, we did tell you about the siege of Robert Kyagulanyi's house, popularly known as Bobi Wine. Of course, he was the contestant in the Ugandan presidential election and was actually the main opposition and the main rival of the Ugandan in the Ugandan presidential election, the main rival from the NUP party to Yoweri Museveni. And we told you that after he voted, his house was seized, and police and security officials, the presence was actually heavy there in Uganda. And for some couple of time, they actually kept him more like under lockdown for over 10 days. And some couple of days ago, he released statements, releasing video on the social media that he, his wife, and some couple of other people are stranded in the house. They are not allowed to go out, and nobody is allowed to come check on them. They are running out of foodstuffs and everything that they needed for their survival in that country. Basically, in Uganda, shutting down the internet was not enough. The president and the government of the land still deemed it fit to actually put the house of Robert Kyagulanyi on siege. And like I said last week on the show, the government's claim was that they are doing it to protect his own life. Now, according to the news we got from Uganda earlier this week, Uganda actually withdraws troops from Bobi Wine's house after a constitutional court ruled that security officials should actually leave. And the news has it that the security operatives actually stood down their position around the residence of opposition leader Bobi Wine, Robert Kyagulanyi, popularly known as Bobi Wine, on Tuesday, a day after a court ordered an end to the confinement of the presidential runner-up. And well, the news has it that the presidential, a particular constitutional court in Uganda declared that his confinement is actually unconstitutional, and soldiers should be taken away from his house with immediate effect so that he can have freedom of movement and freedom to do whatever he wants to do. Okay, right now let's take a quick trip to the Ugandan state and listen to the judgment of the constitutional court on the siege on Bobi Wine's house.
I find that the respondents have indeed had the personal liberty of the applicant curtailed. This court has the mandate under Section 34 of the Judicature Act to review or inquire into the legality of his continued confinement to his home as it amounts to deprivation of personal liberty. This court is therefore acting well within the mandate to make the inquiry, which answers the preliminary point of law set up at the beginning. The justification given by the respondent is that because of security threats that have been detected by security, the applicant's movement outside his home have been met with preventive action to protect life and property. If indeed he is a danger to society, the due process of the law must be allowed to take course. Having considered all the circumstances of this case, it is my finding that the continued indefinite restriction and confinement of the applicant to his home is unlawful. In the result, it has been established that his right to personal liberty has been infringed. The first issue is therefore answered in the affirmative. Having found, as I do, that the restrictions imposed on the applicant are unlawful, it is hereby ordered that they are lifted. Consequently, an order for restoration of the personal liberty of the applicant is hereby issued. Secondly, the respondent made a prayer for the applicant to comply with the standard operating procedures with regard to COVID-19. This court takes judicial notice of the violent nature of COVID-19 and the public health necessity to comply with the SOPs. It is therefore hereby ordered that the applicant shall comply with the SOPs set by the authorities. The applicant is accordingly granted costs of this application and that is the ruling by Justice Elubu Michael of this court.
Yeah, of course, you hear the voice of the judge there bringing out the ruling, of course, from the Constitutional Court. And actually, when that ruling was ruled out, they didn't actually obey. It was a day after that the troops were withdrawn from the house. And of course, we've also got seen, an excerpt from when the police and the military officials were actually departing the house of Yoweri Museveni. It was heavily guarded and helicopters were even present. That is actually the sound of the helicopters flying away from Robert Kanyagulayi's house. Like I said, he popularly known him as Bobi Wine. A day after the Constitutional Court has actually issued that the siege on his house be lifted. And finally, Bobi Wine actually gets his freedom. And this is what to say when he got out of that confinement, speaking to the media.
General Museveni wants so desperately to put an end to this and pretend that we are moving on. We are not moving on to anywhere. We want him. He is not the legally elected president. He is an imposter. Yes, he is. So while you take on these offices, I want you to remember that this is going to be a two-pronged approach. We have the political approach. I'm asking you not to be the regular politicians, but to be freedom fighters, to be leaders. We are leading an entire generation out of slavery, and they are banking on you. Are in cold water on this, our revolution. And I want to tell you that while I speak to you now, I speak to you as if it's the last time I'm talking to you. Because be very sure that this forcefully imposed regime on us, this timid old man who has his future right behind him, is going to do every illegal, every shameful thing. Don't be shocked when they surround my home once again. Don't be shocked when they arrest me and keep me in jail, thinking that by keeping me away from you, they are keeping this revolution going.
Okay, the voice of Robert Kanyagulayi addressing the media after he finally gained his freedom. That was on Tuesday evening. Actually, he met with members of his party who won election to the parliament, and he addressed them, trying to incite them that probably there's still war ahead and people should not be surprised. Yeah, so matters arising from the Ugandan election. First, it was probably violence before the election. Well, not much violence though, it was minimal. Then they went into an internet shutdown for about 4 days. Even after the election, they were still thrown into internet shutdown. And now, the siege on the runners-up house for about 11 days. The court ordered that the security officials be withdrawn, but still, the order was not obeyed after 24 hours. Probably after about 28 hours, the order was obeyed. What is the problem with Africans and to some extent African leaders and obeying the courts?
One, the African leaders, their power is what is affecting us fully. Let me use that word. Because after they have tasted the power, they don't want to leave the office. And that is what is affecting us. And most of our leaders in Africa, they have seen that there is nothing like court anymore. Because I can't believe that court will give an order and as a leader you decide not to obey the order of the court. Because court is there for you to obey. That is why it's set up. That is the reason why it's set up. So when a court have given an order, I believe it should be something that the action will take place immediately. Why will the guy run for a presidential and after that you try to block his house with every... You are not going to war. That is me. You are trying to see your
According to the government, his life is in danger, and they have to do everything to protect him.
Who is putting
a very
his life?
special candidate in the past election?
No, there is a question. Who is putting his life in danger?
It probably might be the party faithfuls of the winning party faithfuls probably might want to hurt him.
They can hurt him. Already he has a security guard. And this is the kind of person we are talking about. He can't go out without a guard. So surrounding the house with soldiers as if you are going to war is not what we need. This is not the first time it's happening in Africa. It's something that is continuous like that. You have Rufus. This 5th times.
It's been there since 1986. That's
so
what it must
be. Why don't you want to leave the position for another person?
Well, the people voted for him, so of course constitutionally
then
he was voted.
The
one with over 58% of the votes.
Fine. Let's say people have voted for you. Why do you have to block somebody else? If you don't have anything in your cupboard, if you are not fear of anything, you should not.
The life.
No, that is not the way to protect somebody's life. Do you inform the person that your life is in danger before you do that? Before you take any step, you have to inform the person that this is what is happening and this is the step I want to take before you say you want to protect my life.
Yeah, Robert Kyagulanyi has actually been insisting that the election that went on the 14th of January is a fraud and that he's not going to respect the result of the election, just like one president did in the United States of America.
Okay.
And he has been addressing media. In fact, he has been calling African Union presidents and calling people all over the world to come interfere and help to save the democracy of Uganda. Let's listen to him speaking to a TV in South Africa and of course expressing his thoughts about the election that went on in Uganda.
This morning, the High Court of Uganda has ruled that the house arrest to which my wife and I have been subjected to for the last 11 days is illegal and unconstitutional, and the High Court has ordered the military and the police to vacate my house. Unfortunately, many hours later, the military and the police are still maintaining their siege. Our party officials have been blocked from accessing us, and our gates continued to be locked by the police and the military. My appeal to the regional and continental bodies, the East African Community and the African Union, is to intervene in this matter. To President Cyril Ramaphosa and the African Union, it is a very, very loud silence from the African Union. The silence from the African Union is speaking volumes. The continued
Okay, it is a very, very loud silence from the African leaders, and the silence is speaking volume according to Bobi Wine's voice, thoughts there. Yeah, and a coup, let's put it like that, happened in Mali some couple of months ago, precisely August 2020, and we saw ECOWAS region and different African Union presidents coming around to try and look for solutions and try to pacify the military junta to hand over and have a successful transition. Do you think the African Union and of course leaders of the African states are doing enough to prevent injustice and all those bad things that is happening in the African continent, or it is until the insurrection starts happening, the violence starts happening, that is when they now start wanting to poke nose or wanting to interfere and try to have peace talks and everything?
One, they are doing better. You understand? They are trying their best. Let me use that word.
But to be candid, while he was under the siege, no, arguably any African leader actually didn't speak.
That is where I'm going. We see something in Africa that we look at it is a common thing. Until when a case is reported to me before I could come up. We have to grow from that level. When you see your African neighbor suffering to a particular stage, not the person, not the country, but a person in that African country, they are being do something that is wrong to. We have to come up as an African and say this is wrong. It's not until when we started seeing war or we started making trouble here and there before the African Union should be able to come up. They should be able to be doing this regularly to solve issues that can arise at any time, to curb a lot of things. That is why they call African Union. They should be able to use their offices to settle issues that may occur or that are occurring to settle all of them at once. You can't just lock somebody and no African country be able to come up and say this what you have done is wrong or is illegal or this. It's something that is bad. It's bad. Let's say the supporters, you understand, come up and it come to riot, killing of themselves and so many things. Is that when they're supposed to come up? No. We have to overgrow all this habit of when it's riot before we can intervene. We have to stop it in Africa.
Okay, we pray for peace to reign in Uganda, and we hope that Yoweri Museveni has a successful six-term tenure as the president of that country. Moving forward quickly, our time is fast spent. Let's go to South Sudan, another African country where something interesting happened earlier this week. And according to the news, South Sudan is actually set to change its time zone next month. Yeah, South Sudan is set to change to a new time zone by setting the clock back 1 hour on the 1st of February 2021. The cabinet actually resolved this. Government spokesperson and information minister Michael Moki-Luet, addressing the media after a cabinet meeting in Juba, said the cabinet came to realize that our current local time, our current time zone is not our actual zone. We are in longitude 30, and the difference between Greenwich Mean Time of the UTC and the longitude is every 15 minutes is 1 hour. So we are in the 30th longitude, and as such, we are supposed to be 2 hours ahead of the Greenwich Meridian. Okay, he actually addressed the media trying to explain why the cabinet came to resolve to changing of the time zone, and it was a very long talk. Actually, it took about 20 minutes when it was addressing the media. But we'll quickly take a trip to South Sudan and we'll listen to the information minister. His name once again, Luet Masisi. And we get to listen to him try to do an explanation of why the parliament actually resolved to change the time zone in South Sudan. And hopefully this little talk of his will help us make a sense on why the time zone has been changed.
Ladies and gentlemen of the media, the main objective of calling this meeting today is to brief you and clarify the resolution of the Council of Ministers which it took last Friday for the changing of the timings of the time zone. This, of course, will create a lot of confusions in the minds of the people, and this is why I call you, because you are the messengers that will pass this message to the people. For us here in the Sudan, we used to have, when we were Sudan, we used to follow the Greenwich Mean Time, and with it, we are between 15 and 30 degrees. That is 1 hour first, and the second 30 degrees makes 2 hours. So Sudan used to have 2 hours. These 2 hours were adopted, but because of certain policies by then in the Sudan, they first came out with what we call the winter time zone and the other time zone. This is the situation where we are going to move. And for our people, it will be difficult to understand it. So we put it in simple words. We put it in simple words. We say, when you get up in the morning, you get up at 6. Now, when you get up at 6, it is still dark. Mushkida? It will still be very dark. Because we have adopted a different system altogether. So when you get up at 6, if we go to our local time, that will be 5 o'clock in the morning. And instead of being 6, it will be 5. So with effect from the 1st of January, when it is at 12 midnight on the 31st, and the morning starts, that morning will not start at 12. But when it is 12,
Okay, that was the information minister of South Sudan trying to make the explanation of the time change and the time zone change. Okay, yeah, my understanding of the time zone is that, for example, in the United States, in the United Kingdom right now, they are an hour behind us. So, as it stands right now, it's 2:40 Nigerian time. UK time, it will be 1:40 p.m. And some couple of other countries like South Africa are 2 hours ahead of UK. They'll be 3:40 p.m. right now. And someone is watching us from the United States of America right now, and of course, it will be 8:40 a.m. Nigerian time then. So, I'm wondering why Sudan has actually come to just announce that they are going to be changing their time zone. Is it not something that is slated and a particular law that they have to follow?
They didn't change the law at this stage. They didn't change the law.
Okay.
They want to, formally they are Sudan, and they adopt the time zone.
They were formerly with Sudan, and before they break away,
and they adopt the time that they are using
in Sudan.
Okay. But now they want to set up their own time
as South Sudan.
Which in longitude every 15 minutes is 1 hour. So when they have 15 longitude, that is 30 degree longitude to Sudan, that is already 2 hours. So ahead. So now what they are trying to do is that, okay, we are going to be +2 south eastern.
Okay, they were formerly +3. Now they are switching to 1 hour behind. +2. That was why I said if you wake up at 6, 5.
Okay. You understand? It's going to be their 6 is going to be 5. Now what they are trying to do is that, because they have a long night
in Sudan, in South
Sudan. So when the day is 6 o'clock in Sudan, is 5 in their place, because then the day is getting light. In their own state, it's dark.
Probably need someone that studied geography. Yeah, I have this understanding from secondary school. They made us understand that for every 15 degree that you move on the longitude, there's actually a 15 minutes increase in time. So, for example, living from Ibadan and you are going to maybe Abuja right now, you'd have moved 15 minutes, and Abuja is supposed to be like 30 minutes ahead of Ibadan.
Yeah.
But because of they don't want to create confusion, the country has to adapt one time zone that everybody in the country will be using. And some countries have different time zone actually.
Already southern Sudan is on its own.
Yeah.
So they want to maintain a time of their own. If you look at it, they are in the same range with Egypt. And Egypt is 2 hours, is +2. And they are the same range with Chad, which is +2.
Okay.
They are in the same south longitude.
Yeah.
So they want to share the same time, which is 2 + 2 in their region. So that is what they want to do. So they want to live away with southern that is 3 hours. They want to come down to 2 hours, which is going to be the same thing with the neighboring country that is close to them. That is what they are trying to do.
Okay, moving forward quickly, let's leave South Sudan and the palaver with their time zone and quickly talk all this COVID-19 news that we got earlier this week in the continent of Africa. Yeah, in case you don't know, earlier this week actually, the global cases of coronavirus all over the world actually topped 100 million all over the world. And the number of confirmed coronavirus cases around the world on Tuesday passed the 100 million mark since the start of the pandemic. Late November 2019. Now we've reached over 100 million. And when you talk about the numbers of deaths, it stands at a little bit over 2 million. Yeah, quite a crazy number for a disease that lived with us, or that has been living with us for about a little bit over 365 days right now. But quickly, from the African continent, we got news earlier this week that the African Union actually secures additional 400 million vaccine doses. We told you some couple of weeks ago that we were able to get about 217 million vaccine doses And of course, then I remember we analyzed that in the African continent we have about 1.2 billion population in the African continent, and if you are bringing 270 doses for a country or a continent of 1.2 billion people, it's definitely not going to be enough, considering the fact that people are going to be taking the doses and jabs in twos. And the good news for the African continent, we secured extra 400 million. Politics has actually, there's been a politics of countries buying, the bigger countries, the developed world, buying the vaccines and them leaving Africa to not being able to get vaccines. But I think the disparity is actually not coming to play too much, and justice has been served for African Union to be able to get 400 million vaccine doses. And in different African states, the vaccines are being rolled out and are being given to people. Starting from Mauritius on Tuesday actually commenced a nationwide COVID-19 vaccination campaign with medical staff at ENT Hospital, the main treatment center, being the first to be immunized. 3 teams of health workers have also been deployed at Victoria Hospital in the town of Bournes. Those vaccinated will get a second dose of the AstraZeneca/Oxford vaccine in about 20 days. And as he said, that Mauritius actually received 100,000 doses of the vaccine from India on Friday, and a batch of 240,000 doses of the Pfizer and BioNTech vaccine is expected to arrive in the country by the 15th of February, according to the World Health Organization. So Mauritius is one of the countries that has actually doling out treatments to the vaccine injection into its people. And first, another country in Africa is the Moroccan country. Morocco actually becomes the first African country to start the vaccination of its people. And of course, Morocco actually started rolling out its mass coronavirus vaccination program on Thursday, the Royal Palace said, the first African country to do so. The North African country has received 2 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine manufactured by the Serum Institute of India, and also 500,000 doses of the vaccine made by China's Sinopharm. It began distributing them to centers around the country earlier this week. The palace said vaccinations will be available to all Moroccans over the age of 17, but that health, security and teaching staffs will receive the first shots. It also said that people can register via a website for the vaccine, which will be given for free at 3,000 locations around Morocco. Yes, underlying word, which will be given for free. I hope that when our own, comes to Nigeria here, we would also
agreed on free.
Yeah, we would also be given for free. We have agreed on free.
We have agreed on free.
Okay, a very good one actually. So what they did in Morocco is that they first actually gave the vaccine to the Moroccan king Mohammed VI. He launched the program and it was actually injected. It was actually televised. Quickly, time is fast spent, about 12 minutes to go on the show. Let's leave the African continent and see if we can get some news from other parts of the world before time runs out. Okay, let's land in the United Kingdom, and something pitiable happening to them in the United Kingdom is that the number of deaths in the United Kingdom as a result of COVID-19 has passed the 100,000 mark, one of the worst in the world actually. And the number of people who have died with COVID-19 in the UK since the pandemic began now exceeds the 100,000 mark. Data from the UK Office of National Statistics showed. The figure from the UK Statistics Authorities are based on the number of people who have died with COVID-19 infections recorded on their death certificates and don't overlap with other measures. New figures from the ONS, based on figures from England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, revealed that 7,766 virus-related deaths were recorded in the UK in the most recent week, up to January 15. In that week, of the 724 deaths in England and Wales, where COVID-19 was recorded on the death certificates, 90% had the coronavirus recorded as the underlying cause of the death. Okay, let's take a quick trip to the United Kingdom and get to listen and of course sympathize with the states. Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, speaking here.
It's hard to compute the sorrow contained in that grim statistic. The years of life lost, the family gatherings not attended, and for so many relatives, the missed chance even to say goodbye. I offer my deepest condolences to everyone who's lost a loved one. Fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, and the many grandparents who've been taken. And to all those who grieve, we make this pledge that when we've come through this crisis, we will come together as a nation to remember everyone we lost and to honour the selfless heroism of all those on the front line who gave their lives to save others. I am deeply sorry for every life that has been lost, and of course, as Prime Minister, I take full responsibility for everything that the government has done. What I can tell you is that we truly did everything we could and continue to do everything that we can to minimise loss of life and to minimise suffering in what has been a very, very difficult stage. And a very, very difficult.
Yeah, the voice of Boris Johnson, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. You heard him speaking there. And of course, yeah, you have to pity that country and some couple of other countries around the world. The total number of cases that they've recorded stands at 3.74 million. Total number of cases, 3.74 million. And in terms of recovery, we don't have that statistics right now. But still, the number of deaths that they've had right now, 100,003. Quite worrisome. Plus, they discovered another new set of 1,239 deaths today. Coronavirus second wave for a country that went under lockdown and to some extent is still under lockdown, and they've been taking different measures. And then they've gotten the vaccines. They are injecting their members of health scheme and of course injecting the elderly, and still nothing seems to be happening.
Well, we pray that the Lord will help us. Because at this stage now, we need a lot of prayer for the COVID. You know, I was talking to one of my friends there in UK. He said where he worked that all the staff has COVID, just only 2 of them that does not.
And how many staffs do they have there?
They have a lot of staff. He didn't tell me the number, but all except 2 of them. So this is to say that it's something that is very, very is a pandemic that is real. Don't let us say it's not real. With what we are saying is real. Is real.
Well, our president actually just
Nigeria, we should know that is real. It's only God that is helping us in this country. Because before you can look at it, that people, millions of people having the disease, and they are recording 103,000 deaths so far. It's real. This is not something that is a joke. It's real. And I will encourage them to do more of their care, you understand, because that is the only way we can prevent it from occurring or from terminating people's life. You know, the vaccine, they deploy more vaccine to them so that they will give their people, so that it will reduce the death and the level of transmission of the disease. Presently, it's something that we need to look into very well, and I pray the country, God will help them, and everything will come back to normal for them.
Yeah, we hope that everything comes back to normal for them. Yeah, across different countries in Africa, they've been taking different steps. Like in Uganda, some couple of days ago, I played the excerpt on the show about someone arrested and had to be fined. Our president also just signed the regulation into law. If you are flouting COVID-19 rules, you're actually going to be arrested and you can be spending up to 6 months in jail. So for someone like you that is not wearing your face mask right now, you ought to have been arrested, isn't it? Yeah, moving forward quickly, let's round up with this last news, and it's of the United States House of Representatives actually delivering the reports. The U.S. House impeachment managers carried the article of impeachment charging incitement against Donald Trump to the Senate for the Senate to hear and for the Senate to determine if he's guilty, that's Donald Trump, guilty of the incitement of insurrection that he was accused of, if he's going to be found guilty and will be barred from contesting for any public office in future, or if he's going to be free and they're going to accuse him of all charges. Okay, a quick trip right now to the United States of America, and let's get to listen to a short proceeding of what happened when the House of Representatives was delivering the article of impeachment to the Senate.
Mr. President and members of the Senate, I announce the presence of the managers on the part of the House of Representatives to conduct proceedings on behalf of the House concerning the impeachment of Donald John Trump, former President of the United States.
The managers on the part of the House will be received and escorted to the well of the Senate.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All persons are commanded to keep silent on pain of imprisonment while the House of Representatives is exhibiting to the Senate of the United States an article of impeachment against Donald John Trump, former President of the United States.
The managers on the part of the House will proceed.
Okay, you heard it there. The members of the House of Representatives, the managers that were in charge of the impeachment of Trump in the House of Representatives, actually taking the article of impeachment to the Senate, handing it over to the Senate for the Senate to begin the public hearing. And they said that probably sometimes in February, when the Senate is actually on recess right now, when they resume, and when after probably the confirmation of some of Joe Biden's appointments, and they would actually start hearing the debates on whether Trump will be guilty, whether he will be discharged, he will be acquitted of all crimes.
When I believe presently he will be acquitted of all everything. Well, there is nothing.
It's actually a very big political gameplay, and for Donald Trump to be found guilty, he has, the 2/3 majority or 2/3 of the House actually has to vote in favor of him being found guilty. So as it stands right now, with the dynamics in the United States of American Senate, if they were to vote party by party, Republicans voting for Trump and Democrats voting for,
be found guilty.
No, it's going to be acquitted because it will be needing about 17 Republicans to join, to side with the Democrats for him to win.
17 Republicans to sign for him to win.
17 out of the, I think about 48 that they have right now. 48. They still need about 17 to sign with the about 52 that the Democrats have for Donald Trump to be found guilty. For the Democrats to basically have their way, because whether we like it or not, this is a political gameplay. Yes. So if the Democrats are going to have their way, they're actually going to have to convince 2/3 majority, and that is 17 Republicans having to join. Do you think it's something achievable?
When it is, depends. One thing about politics is this is what we want. This is where we want it to go. You understand? Then we can look at it that, okay, since I want it this way, what should I do to make it to be in that way? So it's not going to be difficult, but it depends on the people that they want to call. You understand? Like these and these have to be taken in place. So it now depends who to come in that state to come on board to support them.
Our time is fast spent. Actually, we have to leave right now, but we got news earlier this week that Donald Trump has actually opened the office in Florida.
Yes,
and is starting the campaign that left as the presidency. Okay, the United States of America and their drama, we leave them with the bra. Yeah, this is Word on Review on King 104.9 FM. This program was streamed live on Facebook. If you probably want to catch anything again, you can go to our Facebook fan page, King FM 103.9 Ibadan, no space, written together as one word, and you get to watch all the various editions of the show that we've aired and different programs that have been aired on this platform. My name is Ajibola Samuel. Thanks for doing this with us. Join us again next week for another exciting edition of the show. Say your BYEs to people.
Thank you for listening to us. I still remember myself, Paul Awe.
Okay, have a wonderful week.
Happy weekend.
And ahead of you. Au revoir, ladies and gentlemen.